All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the story of a legendary fruit that has a very peculiar secret. We're talking about a fruit that was once only for royalty, and its reputation, it honestly sounds more like something out of a myth than a botany textbook.
So, let's just jump right in with a pretty wild question. What if your personal fragrance didn't come from a bottle, but came directly from what you eat? I mean, what if you could literally eat your way to smelling better? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But believe it or not, it's a claim that people have been making for centuries about one very special fruit.
And here it is, meet the Keppel fruit, or if you want to get scientific, Stelychocarpus burrahal. And right off the bat, you can see something is different about it. It has this really rare trait called cauliflory. Now what that means is that its flowers and fruits sprout directly from the main trunk and the big branches. It's an absolutely incredible sight, and trust me, it's just the first of many, many unique things about this plant.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with its super exclusive royal history and that legendary deodorant effect. Then, we'll get into how modern science finally unlocked its chemistry, break down how that science actually works, and then wrap things up by looking at where you might, just maybe, find this rare fruit today.
All right, first section. Let's dig into how this fruit became such an exclusive luxury, a secret that was literally guarded inside palace walls.
So first things first, even its name tells a story. Keppel, that's the local word for clenched fist. And it's a perfect description, really, because the fruit is just about the size of a person's fist. Kind of fitting for a fruit that held on to its secrets so tightly, don't you think?
And let me be clear, this was not a fruit for just anyone. Oh no, it's native to Java, Indonesia, and historically, the Keppel tree was grown almost exclusively in the gardens of the Yogyakarta Palace. This was a delicacy reserved only for princesses and noble women. It was a closely guarded symbol of status and, of course, beauty.
Okay, now we get to the really interesting part. Why did royalty prize it so highly? I mean, this wasn't just about some rare, tasty fruit. No, it was about something way, way more personal.
You see, the core belief, passed down for generations, was that eating Keppel fruit acted like some kind of internal perfume. It was said to make a person's sweat, their breath, and yes, even their urine smell pleasantly fragrant, like violets or lavender. I mean, just imagine that for a second. A fruit that works as a natural deodorant from the inside out. Wild.
And get this, its traditional uses didn't even stop there. Nope. Historical records show it was also used as a diuretic to help prevent kidney inflammation, and, this is maybe the most fascinating part, it was believed to cause temporary infertility. So it was actually used as a form of contraceptive by royal consort.
Okay, so this all sounds like some beautiful piece of folklore, doesn't it? You know, a magical fruit from a secret palace garden. But the real question is there any hard science to back up these centuries-old claims? I mean, seriously, can a fruit really do all of that?
Well, to find out, scientists did what scientists do. They took the Keppel from the palace and brought it into the laboratory. And that brings us right to our next section. It was time to see if this incredible legend could actually stand up to modern scientific scrutiny.
So the researchers started by basically breaking the fruit down. They created a bunch of different extracts to figure out what chemical compounds were hiding inside. And what they found was that while a simple water extract was okay for pulling out some things, using ethanol, well, that was way more effective. It was much better at extracting the really interesting groups of molecules, like phenolics and flavonoids.
Okay, and this is the crucial point. These aren't just some random chemicals. Phenolic compounds are actually a well-known class of molecules you find in plants, and they're famous for being biologically active. That means they do stuff in the body. They often act as powerful antioxidants, and they can fight off microbes, which is a huge clue about what might be going on here.
And this table here kind of shows you the fruit's whole chemical arsenal. The analysis found it's just packed with stuff like catechins, you know, the same beneficial compounds you find in green tea, and fragrant compounds like caryophyllene, which is the stuff that gives black pepper its spicy smell. So, a really interesting mix. So now we know what's inside the fruit. The big question is, how do all these chemicals actually create that legendary deodorant effect? Let's get into it.
Well, scientists now believe the main secret isn't magic at all. It's a process called adsorption. And just to be clear, that's adsorption with a D, not absorption with a B.
What it means is that the fruit's components act like a kind of molecular sponge. They literally bind to and trap smelly compounds on their surface before your body has a chance to release them. And check this out. The lab tests are pretty darn impressive. In one study, they took powdered keeple pulp and exposed it to ammonia, which is a key compound responsible for fecal odor. The results were amazing. It absorbed or trapped nearly 63% of the ammonia. That's huge.
And it performed even better against methyl mercaptan, which is another really potent odor-causing molecule. The keppel pulp powder managed to absorb almost 78% of that. So yeah, this is some seriously compelling evidence that the fruit really can capture bad odors on a chemical level.
But wait, there's more. That's not all. On top of that whole adsorption thing, there's also evidence that the fruit acts as a prebiotic. What that means is it basically feeds the good bacteria in your gut, like Bifidobacter. And a healthier gut microbiome can also lead to less production of stinky compounds in the first place. So it's like a two-pronged attack on bad odors. Pretty clever.
Okay, so with this incredible history and some really compelling science to back it all up, you're probably wondering the same thing I am. Can I just go out and buy some of this stuff? Well, let's take a look.
Unfortunately, it's not quite that simple. Yeah, this is not a fruit you're just going to find in your local supermarket. The trees themselves are incredibly slow growing. We're talking anywhere from 6 to 9 years just to start producing fruit. And that, combined with the fact that harvests can be pretty irregular, just makes them a super rare sight in modern agriculture.
And of course, that rarity comes with a pretty hefty price tag. For the lucky few who can even find it for sale, one source from Thailand pegs the price at around 2,000 baht per kilogram. To put that in perspective for you, that's over $50 per kilo. So yeah, it is still very much a luxury, just like it was for the princesses back in the day.
I think one writer really summed it up perfectly. They called it a marvelous fruit, very, very hard to find. And that just captures the whole essence of the keppel, doesn't it? It's this object of complete fascination that, for most of us, remains just out of reach.
And all this leaves us with one final thought. The legend that started in a palace garden has now been put under the microscope in a lab. And the results, they're surprisingly promising. The chemistry really does seem to back up the folklore. So the big question for you is, if you could actually get your hands on it, would you be willing to try this ancient royal secret for yourself?